right now, March 30th and the 31st. Those proceeds will go to the Rape Crisis Center right here in Savannah. We're doing something for our community. So that's what's going on right now.
So tell us where it's going to be, when is it going to be, who's going to be participating, all of that good stuff.
Oh, we got some good stuff for you guys. For the first night, we are having an auction/mixer. Well, we'll be auctioning off different artwork from different artists in Savannah, different paintings. We have a couple of gift baskets. We have some gift certificates, and most of those proceeds will go to, like we said, the Rape Crisis Center of Savannah. And basically that day we will have a host. Actually, Miss Brooke Ashley will be our host for the auction. We in there. Well, we'll be having it at Sofer Studios on Bull Street. Daisha, you have the actual address?
It's 2201 Sofer. It's the Sofer Studios.
2222 Bull Street.
Yes, that's it. 2221 Bull Street. And then the second day is our panel day. We'll be having different, we have some authors, we have specialists coming in to speak about different resources. We actually have the president of the Savannah Rape Crisis Center. She will be there also as well. Our host for that evening will be Miss Zinga, the Fro Goddess herself, will be our host for the panel. Who else will be on? We have... I'm literally having blank. I literally... What is this name? Miss Tawala? Daisha. Tawala... Well, she's an artist. She has a different organization in Atlanta. She's written like a couple of books. She's a very, very good person. I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. It's very, very touching.
Well, my favorite part of the second night, I'm really, really excited for the first night, but the second night, like Connie said, we're going to have a specialist. And she's going to come in, she's going to be a part of the panel, and then she's going to tell us how to move forward. I love to stay thin and straight because I went through it, and last year was the first time that I really came out and was comfortable telling my story. But she's going to come out and she's going to tell us how to not be enslaved in our day. And she's going to tell us how to move forward. So that's my favorite part of the whole conference. So yeah, make sure you get your tickets for the first night, of course. But the second night, come out if you've ever been, attacked or ever been through a situation as such. And you can just come out because a lot of ladies have gone through this surprisingly, and they don't even know that I've been attacked. They hear stories and they're just like, oh, wait, that happened to me, so I can say me too also. So yeah, the specialist is my favorite part.
We also want the men to feel like they are welcome. You're definitely welcome to come. I've had a lot of guys asking me were they invited as well, and you are definitely a part of. Come out and support.
Right.
We need you guys' support so that you guys can teach the younger guys how to basically just carry themselves, and just be cautious of how they approach women because it's like a thin line, literally.
What are you doing now to promo the event, number one, and number two, reach out to victims of sexual assault?
Well, myself, I have been reaching out to different groups on Facebook, different groups in town, just reaching out to different women, just sharing, just talking to them, hearing their stories, inviting them out to the event. I met a wonderful woman named Miss Hope, and she is everything, and she is housing this different group. Basically, they're having group sessions and different things like that. And also, it's different women in Savannah who are basically trying to heal women from different type of assaults. It wasn't always sexual. Sometimes it was just domestic. Sometimes it's within the family. Sometimes it's sexual. So we basically just wanted to bring people together so that they can get the resources, because a lot of people don't know what to do. Once you find out that you have been attacked, you don't know what to do next. You don't know what's the next step. So hopefully with this event, we get the information out that, this is what you do next. This is who you contact. Here's the card of the police officers that are specialists in this type of field. So basically that's why we're doing it. That's the whole heart of it. We just want people to get the knowledge, just the information.
Have you run across, let me see, what's the ratio of victims, gender-wise? So, like, women versus men.
Well, the thing is, men, it's not even that uncommon. Men are getting sexually assaulted as well. And a lot of them have been sexually assaulted in youth. A lot of them are actually at work getting sexually assaulted. So really, honestly, the ratio isn't that far apart. So it's very, very common with guys as well. But most guys don't speak on it because, you know, matter of fact, it was a couple of months ago, I was watching this video on Facebook. And the guy was actually crying, talking about how a girl had came on to him and basically was like trying to rip his clothes off and all this kind of stuff. And his friends was laughing at him. So there's a stigmatism of, you know, men not wanting to speak up because of feeling not being manly, because they think that that's how it's supposed to be, that they're supposed to be this manly man. They're supposed to be getting, you know, sex thrown at them at a high rate. And it's just very uncommon for them to speak up. But the ratio isn't that far apart, believe it or not.
What about children?
Children, that is a very, very touchy subject because I was affected in my childhood. So that's a very, very big part of it with me. I actually, now that you bring that up, we actually are going to be showing a short film there that is basically telling how like children are feeling, how they're going through this, and basically just seeing it through a child's eyes. So we basically just want to reach out to children, telling them that, hey, this is good touch and bad touch, because they're really not talking about that in school now. And let the TV tell it and the radios tell it, everything is a good touch now. So if we really want these kids to feel that, hey, if you're uncomfortable, let someone know. Tell them, because that's your body. It's your right. You have the right to feel comfortable. You have a right to feel comfortable in your own skin. So we want kids to basically, we also are going to reach out to kids, but this is more for our seasoned folks. But our next step is to reach out to kids, to teach them good touch and bad touch, because we aren't talking about that anymore in schools. We just expect for the parents to teach, and a lot of our parents are busy. A lot of them are working. You know what I'm saying? Because the cost of living is beginning to be outrageous. So both their parents are working, so they're not having these conversations that we used to have.
Right.
They're not sitting down and talking to these kids and finding out, you know, their problems and stuff like that. And so I just really want to give these kids a voice. And that's my next step. But this Me Too conference is for the women right now, and that's basically what we're focusing on this month.
Do you have it in? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Adding to what Connie just said, you know, the parents are out of work. Mama's out of work late at night. Daddy's out of work. And so we take our kids to auntie and uncle and cousin's house. And we just like, okay, they're safe there. But that's where it happens. Sad to say, but in reality, that's where it happens. That's what mine happened. Mine happened at a cousin's house. And my mom trusted him. They happened at uncle's house. They happened at the auntie's house. They happened at the people that are very close to us. And we don't want to say that. We don't want to say that out loud because that's family or that's somebody that we trust. But you cannot trust your child with everybody. I'm sorry to say it, but you can't. Because there's just the reality of it. So going forward in this, it's just like kind of scream it. Sit down, talk to the person. I don't know the next step. I honestly don't. But it's just like it happens to the people that you at least expect to touch your child. So yeah, that's just my input on that part.
What next for Me Too, and individually, what next for you in regards to your situations? Have you ever sought therapy to resolve your issues? And if not, is that something that you're looking into?
Oh, definitely. Every day. I've been working with different support groups. I have a very, very great support system who's helping me to realize what's going on with me, because you don't realize how much it affects you in your everyday life and your everyday your relationships and everything. And you might have buried something so far down, and all of a sudden that person does something that is a trigger for you, and all of a sudden all of it comes flooding back. So it's just an everyday struggle. I have reached out to different counselors and stuff. Savannah Rape Crisis Center is a great place. I'm telling you, women, you should definitely check that place out. They're very, very good. They have counseling, they have classes, they have different places for you to go and different people to talk to for that help. So I really feel like you people should definitely try to reach out to them if you have been affected by sexual assault or rape or molestation or anything like that.
So what next? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
I went to counseling, and I jumped right in. I was just like, hey, this is what happened. Let's just jump right in. I was ready, but I wasn't ready. I was ready to talk about it because I thought about it every day. I dreamed about it. I was enslaved in it, but I wasn't ready. I was ready to talk about it, but I wasn't ready to get over it. I wasn't ready to open the door. I wasn't ready to open up to those demons. So going forward, I would say make sure that you are absolutely ready to open every door, to pull off every Band-Aid. That's what I would say. But me, personally, moving forward, I would say seeing other people be healed. That's where I get my healing from. It's kind of weird, but people call me, people text me, people DM me on Facebook, and they're just like, hey, I see that you're doing this. This is my story. And I get heated, I get mad, and I have to calm myself down. But while they're telling their story, I think about my story. And I say, Aisha, this is how you get your healing. It's scary to open those doors. It's scary and it hurts. But me personally, I feel like I would get my healing through somebody else. It might not be the correct way, but who's to judge? Who's to say what way is the right way?
I think we have that in common, because that's a lot of where I get my healing from, is helping others. That's what we have in common. After this, I have a couple of events that I plan on working on. Me and Daisha are going to actually continue working together moving forward. We're working on getting our joint names and joint company together. My next step is GlamCom, where we bring different fashion designers and different makeup artists and different hairstylists all to one venue to network and just basically kind of get to know each other in the city, because apparently it's a rumor that Savannah people don't get along in the fashion world and the hairstyle world. They don't get along, but we're going to definitely debunk that myth, because we definitely work together. All the women I know work together. Nobody's putting each other down, so I definitely want to do that. It's my basic cause. My basic thing is togetherness, women empowerment, and basically just lifting each other up and being a support and light to everyone.
Right.
Right. We gotta work together. How are we gonna get anywhere cutting each other's throat? We have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanna get to my debate part after we do the halftime mark. So in the meantime, let's talk about the national news in reference to Me Too. And it seems that the exposure is growing.
It is.
For sexual assault allegations in various industries. And I applaud those men and women who are speaking out against those egregious acts that occurred or are occurring to them. We saw, who was it, Kesha?
Yeah, Kesha.
The artist who, I mean, her whole career was stopped because she wouldn't adhere to, you know, some sexual advances from the record producer or something.
Her
executive producer. And then you see all of these other allegations against these high-powered figures.
Russell Simmons.
Right. You know, people that you would never imagine. And just like you said, Daisha, you never know who you can trust. Right. Because it's always the people you think you can trust the most that will do the most damage to you. So how can you go about trying to teach people to be more cautious about their surroundings without having them be paranoid about everything?
Well, basically just watch the company that you keep. People have different red flags. You can see them where they might say something about a child looking mature, or they just staring for too long, or it's just certain red flags that you'll catch when, you know, looking at a predator. You definitely will see them. And then there's some that you won't even notice, like this, who you would have never thought Russell Simmons was out here groping people and stuff like that. You would have never thought, you know, well, Charlie Sheen definitely thought. He definitely looked like the type. But it's a lot of these people who we would never have thought were like this, and you kind of, it makes you feel like it comes with power. Like, men feel as though once they get a certain level of power that they feel like they are, how do you say,
exempt from
any type of prosecution or anything like that. Like, they can't get in trouble for grabbing on folks and stuff.
Right.
So, like, what this movement brought to light is that you can't do that. Like, this is our bodies, just like it's your body. You don't want anybody to do anything to you, anybody take anything from you. Let somebody hold you down and take your manhood, this would be a problem.
Right.
So, why is it okay for you to do it to women?
Right. You got anything? I'm always interrupted.
I feel like, me personally, I feel like a person is always going to tell them themselves. Not every single time, but most of the time a person is going to tell them themselves. I had a friend, and he came out and said something about his daughter. And me being a victim, I just hear things. And I might go overboard, but the thing that he said about his daughter made me uncomfortable. I don't have any kids, but trust and believe, if I had a child, my child would not go over to his house just because of how he talked about his daughter. I think you just have to pay attention. They're not always going to telling themselves, so let's talk about that part. Your child is going to tell you. If you have that relationship with your child is going to come back and say, well, Mommy, some type of way, I don't feel comfortable. Or, Mommy, he did this. Mommy, he did that. She did this. He did that. Pay attention to your child, because your child is going to talk to you about whoever is keeping them. So like Connie said, I just think you should just pay attention to your surroundings. I know you have to go to work at 12 o'clock in the morning and you don't have anybody to keep your child. But would you want your child going to stay with somebody? You don't want that. You don't want that, because that's going to screw up your head for the rest of your life, and it's going to screw up your child's head for the rest of their lives. So I just say and beg and plead, just pay attention. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to the people that you drop your kids off to. Pay attention to your kids. I think it's just paying attention.
Do you push for more community-based, what is it, like daycares, basically?
Yes,
because and I say that because you all are mentioning the midnight shifts and the parents not being there, so the family members have to watch them. But then, we also run into an issue where either number one, the children are too afraid to say something because they've been threatened, or number two, they say something and the adult doesn't believe them.
Right. That was my thing. My mother did not believe me, and it led to me lashing out. And I feel like that's where the village comes in, and that's why I'm very, very, very big on the village. And I believe we have different skills. All women, we have different skills, and you attract different people for different reasons. And I feel like certain things should be like, if you got a friend girl who watches kids, why not give her the extra money that you was giving the babysitter or the daycare? You're paying like $200 to them. Your friend is not going to ask you for that much. And y'all already looking out for each other. So that's why I'm like big on the village. And with that village, we will be able to protect the kids because you have somebody who you trust cold-heartedly watching your kids. And it's just, I just want people just to pay attention. Just watch who you have your children around. Like, watch these men. Like, it's crazy. They have signs. There are signs. There are total signs.
There are signs, yes.
I would say that even for, the women, too, because women have been found guilty of being child molesters.
What was that teacher in Texas?
That's one thing that I never really understood. We condemn sexual relations with a male teacher and a female student, but we applaud the male students and the female teachers. Child molestation is child molestation, and a predator is a predator. It doesn't matter, whether they're a male or a female. It should be condemned all the way around because you're preying on someone who's not mature and they're illegal. There's nothing attractive about a child, so I think that stigma is one that needs to be combated heavily.
Yes, you talk to these guys nowadays, you ask them who they lost their virginity to, and they're going to tell you it was an older woman.
Yep, every time.
Every single time they're going to tell you it's an older woman, and they don't feel any type of way about it. It's a rite of passage for them. And it's just, I feel like with that tone of things, I feel like that created this mess. A lot of that, these women, these older women who were probably preyed upon, preying on younger men, that's what started this whole rape culture. Then you have the videos, and then you have social media, porn, sexual images all day into your face. It's just, the culture, the climate needs to change. It does. It definitely is. And people say that we're sensitive. People say that people are being sensitive and they're overly analytical of everything, and it's not even that. It's just we are opening ourselves up to all type of energies when we watch this type of stuff, and a lot of these guys are acting out what they're seeing in these images that they're being exposed to.
So they're hypersexualized. So I think a lot of the blame for this climate of this this rape culture that we're dealing with is because the sexualized social media. Like, you scroll down your boyfriend's timeline, naked girls all down it. All down it. Doing all kinds of things. Well, can you blame the guys solely for that?
No, not at all, because the women are putting these videos out. They're getting paid for it. But it's a cycle. They're getting paid.
I need that kind of money. No, I don't. That was a disclaimer. Matter of fact, I was supposed to say the disclaimer anyway. The viewpoints expressed in this program are not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff. And this program contains subject matter that has realistic language, and some listeners may find objectionable. Listener discretion and viewer discretion is advised. But I mean, this is real life, and this is something that people deal with on a daily basis. So for you to actually host a conference, especially here in Savannah, that highlights these issues for women, men, and children, I think that's something to applaud. So I'm really excited about this conference.
So excited.
I'm gonna do my little promos real quick. What we got going on here? Okay. Let me do my station ID and all that other good stuff. Let's see. You're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. Tonight's promo is Sailing Regatta for Autism. The Savannah Sailing Center presents the Sailing Regatta for Children with Autism on Saturday, April 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Lake Mare Park on Montgomery Crossroad in Savannah. This event provides an opportunity for children with autism and their families to experience the joy of sailing. To find out about registering for the regatta, volunteering, or sponsoring, visit savannahsailingcenter.org or call 912-352-9996. All right, and we're back with Real Talk. So, Ben is watching, and he had a post talking about, I love my Cardi B. So, yeah. All right. Well, now we're on to the other half of the show, and I have to come up with my rebuttals because when you all first mentioned that you wanted to host the conference, there are a couple of guys that mentioned to me, and not only about this conference, but, you know, just in conversation about the other side of sexual assault and false allegations.
Right.
And how that really affects them. And actually this week, matter of fact, today, they posted an update on the event in Texas where the white woman said she was raped by three black men. Yeah. And come to find out that was not true. She wasn't raped by anybody. And now she's not facing any jail time. She, they gave her, 2 options. She can either get 2 years of probation or she can get a deferred something or other. They said, but it's like community service or something like, but there's no jail time for her for falsely accusing 3 men of rape. And they never identified any suspects, so I'm guessing that's why they're not giving her any jail time. But let's think about all the men who were affected by this. So how does that affect you in trying to spread the word and really heal people for the Me Too theme, and how do you feel about that?
That is a disgrace. Like, it's a hot mess. Really it is, because it brings a negative light to our cause, because it's so hard for these women to come forward to speak up. It takes years sometimes. It takes lifetimes for women to actually speak up about this, of being hurt, you know, or being assaulted, and for someone to come forward and lie. And it discredits the whole movement. It puts a negative light onto us, and so it makes every other victim looks like she's lying. Right. And it's not fair, so I feel that she should definitely get jail time for, you know, lying, basically, because you could have definitely damaged someone's life. You could have ruined these 3 it could have been 3 random black guys that you ruined life. And there's so many stories of guys going to jail for women saying that they have been assaulted by them and they weren't even nowhere near the scene. Or they probably did have sex with the woman and she got upset about something and now it's a thing. So I feel like that it puts a hard wedge into our cause.
What you got, Nisha?
I'm going to tell you, it pisses me off. It pisses me off because how dare you know whether or not somebody has assaulted you or not. You know whether or not you said yes or no. And even if you did not, and I want to make that very, very clear, even if you did not, okay, so my story is, I was intoxicated. And a lot of people came to me and they was just like, well, you were intoxicated. So, no. You knew before I drank that drink, I said no. There was no interest. I said no. And then after the drink, you felt like, okay, well, she's little vulnerable right now. And so maybe her answer has changed. My answer did not change because when I was sober, when I was in a sober mind, I told you no. And that's another topic that I'm not going to discuss right now because that was hard for me because everybody came towards me and said, well, you were intoxicated. You don't know. We're going to talk about that later. But how dare you sit up here and you talk to this man and you go and you lie and you say he raped me and you know he did not. That messes up his life forever. Because every person that knows that story and says, oh yeah, he raped her and he know in the back of his mind I didn't even do it.
And even if it's proven, but even if it's proven that he didn't do it, it will still
That
be on his
stigma.
name. It still will be there. So
Yep, those allegations are still heartfelt.
Right. Exactly. Once a sheep, always a sheep. Like, you can't change that stigmatism at all. So it's crazy that women are doing this. Like, it's so beyond me, and it just really destroys the whole cause.
You're playing around this story. This is deep. People lose their minds over this.
Right.
People lose their life over this. People take their lives over this. And you have the audacity to lie and say this young man or this young woman raped you, and you know it's a lie. Why ruin somebody's life? Just like in Mount Vernon, I'm from Soperton, Georgia, so in Mount Vernon, this black kid, no racial thing going on right now, but this black kid walked in his house to mess with this white girl. It was agreed upon. We're going to do this tonight. We're going to do this thing. And the dad came in the room. He saw the black guy on his guard, and he shot him dead.
Oh my God.
And the little girl was so scared, and she said he raped me because she knew her dad.
What hurt her?
So now this kid has that on his life, and he's dead. He died because of that. And now the story is, oh, he raped me, so my daddy shot him. No, that's not true.
That's hurtful.
If you are going to do something, you take responsibility of it. You be a wrong person. You say that we were doing something we didn't have no business doing, or whatever you think. But here in point blank, why would you shoot this kid and then lie about it?
And I think that right there is really not only damaging, for the cause, but it's detrimental for the families involved.
Right.
And it's detrimental for that person who's falsely accused. Like you said, that carries around with you for forever. But not only that, now you've cried wolf.
Right.
And if you're found out, it's going to be really hard for people to believe you if something actually happens to you.
So why even go through all that?
Right. People suffer from this, all the time. I was never a victim, but my sister was. And, I don't feel, like I need to keep that private because she speaks about that very often on social media. A family friend molested her when she was 12 and told her that if she said anything to anybody that they would split her and my brother up. And so for years she didn't say anything, but it affected her for most of her life, and she's coming to terms with everything now, looking at her decisions and seeing how that one period in time it had a downward spiral on her life. So when you talk about, people falsely accusing someone, like, that's something that you have to really think about. And people get upset and they find ways to try and seek revenge on the people who hurt them. But of all the things you could do, I think that's one of the most foolish things, really. Just to be honest, that's foolish, period. It's not beneficial to any party involved. But that's not to take away from the people who are affected.
Right.
You know, in every it is so many people that are affected
Right.
when you're talking about sexual assault, rape, molestation.
Right.
So many people are affected. There was another story I read going back to in support of your event. Another story I read today about a man's sentence who was vacated. He was accused and charged and found guilty of molesting 6 children. And he served some years, but they appealed his verdict on the basis that he was not awarded a speedy trial. Went through the Court of Appeals, and they upheld the appeal, and he was released. And because they vacated those charges upon his appeal, he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. 6 children. 6 children. So tell me what it feels like. Yeah. Tell me what it feels like to know that sometimes justice is not served.
A lot of times justice is not served. Majority of the time justice is not served. It's not. I had my situation and I went to the police. And the police said they couldn't do anything because the person that attacked me was once a cop. And he became a corrupt cop. And they needed something to stick to get him. Went to the nurse, and the nurse told me that it was my fault.
And how did she come to that conclusion? Because you were intoxicated?
It's a lot of the times that's what it is.
So the police told me, my nurse told me, you were intoxicated. How do you know what you were doing? And how do you know that you didn't say yes? And how do you know that you didn't agree?
I'm drunk, not incoherent. I don't have amnesia.
Right. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Just because I was drinking a few drinks, does this make me, are you telling me you're going to get away with this, yes or no? What are you telling me right now?
A lot of times
And that's what's going on with a lot of victims. Your nurses are telling you, the police is telling you, hey, get that rusty.
And I think that... Go ahead.
No,
No.
go ahead.
No, because there's more that I want to get to, so go ahead and finish that.
I think it's just kind of messed up. It's like it's my word against yours. And you know that you're not going to come out and tell me that you molested me. You're not going to tell the police that you molested me or that you raped me. You're not. The person that did this to me, they're not going to come out and say, hey, yeah, I raped her in 2011. You're not going to tell the police that. So it's kind of my word against yours. And then
sometimes we get lucky and they do get prostituted. I'm sorry, prosecuted. I wish they would get prostituted.
And when they get locked up,
When
they
they
do.
Well, when they get, a lot of them do get like sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways, because the guy who did it to me, he ended up doing it to the next woman's daughter, and he ended up getting locked up behind it. And I just kind of took that as my cosmic, like, what is it, release. Like, I just released it into the universe, because I feel like that was the universe paying it back to me. Like, okay, he might not have gotten in trouble with you,
but he didn't get away with it.
He definitely got in trouble with someone else. So that's why I feel like our event is so important, because a lot of girls don't get the justice that they deserve. So let's find a way to heal, because sometimes we're not going to get that justice. So we're going to have to work around it. So let's heal together and let's move forward, because a lot of it is very, very damaging to your life. Because I know endless of stories of downward spirals of females who've been sexually assaulted, and it's just, we just need a cycle to stop.
So, and you know, I browse Facebook quite often for various news and other events, especially going on in the Savannah community. And one of your panelists right now, Keisha Bottoms, oh Lord, Keisha, what's her last name? The director for the Rape Crisis Center.
Right.
She spoke out avidly against the Chatham County DA's office for their lack of prosecution in sexual assault cases,
Right.
and just their nonchalant attitude towards victims in those cases, that they're not taking it seriously. They're not aggressively prosecuting offenders, and it just seems to be something that they want to sweep under the rug for whatever reason it is, whether it be to hide the crime stats for tourism.
It's just a shame. I think they don't want to deal with the shame of having so many rape, assault cases on the books for them. I think that's what it is, because even though the numbers have gone down since 2016, it's still happening. And
Right.
but a lot of the cases, a lot of people who are being affected by this who are not being treated. So I'm just glad that she is actually taking a stand and actually speaking up for people who can't speak for themselves, because it's hard. Even coming forward is the hardest thing. And you want me to go to trial? And you want me to point at this guy and say that he did it?
Right.
So that takes a whole bunch of strength. And then for the guy not to get found guilty,
Right.
it's just a lot. It's just a lot. So I commend her for doing that.
Exactly.
I commend her for that, because, honey, that heartbreak.
And like I said, I've never, been in that situation, but I empathize with you and Daisha and any person who has been in that situation, because that's a lot to take in.
Right.
Mentally. You've been violated physically, so when I remember someone comparing it to like getting your house or your car broken into.
Right.
It's like you're never the same. It's never the same.
Safe. And then what?
Right.
It's a perfect analogy, because you never feel safe within your own body anymore. Like, once someone takes that from you, you lose your essence. You lose a part of you.
Exactly.
Like, I haven't been me since I was 12. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't been me for a long time, and I'm just getting to a place, and I'm 29 years old. I'm just getting to a place where I am myself, my fullest self. And I am not a victim, I'm a survivor.
Right.
Like, that is not a part of me anymore. So it just takes time to get there. I'm just glad that she is actually doing her thing up here, Miss Keisha. I'm just glad she's doing her thing. I'm just glad that Daisha came to me with this whole idea. I'm just glad for Miss Taronda. I want to say I'm saying her name right. Tarana Burke. I'm glad that she even came up with this whole movement. And I want to thank Alyssa Milano for even making the social media attention to it. Well, bringing the social media attention to it. I'm just glad that this is happening, because it has been, like, swept under the rug for so long.
Right.
For so long. It happens so often in our communities. A lot of families are destroyed by this, because you can't do certain things around Uncle Johnny. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just glad that this light is being shined in such a dark place. I'm just glad that it's happening. I'm just elated.
Have you spoken to, what is her? I know her first name is Debbie.
The councilwoman.
Yes, out in Port Wentworth.
I was actually trying to find out her information, but I haven't had a chance to get in touch with her. But I am seeking to get in touch with her, because I definitely would like for her to come and share her story and tell us what's going on with that, and see if we can be of help in her cause as well.
Right. Well, I think that from her situation, and like I said, it's hard for me to keep up with everything,
Right.
but I know that they did propose a law in the state that they wanted to make upskirting illegal. So
Right.
any photography of any unexposed areas that you are purposely trying to take pictures of, and it's private, and then share it, with sources, whether it be social media or amongst a group of guys, and people find out, that would be illegal, because upskirting is not, or was not, illegal in Georgia at the time.
Right.
And that was just like Florida. I think recently they changed the age limit for marriage to 17. And that was just period. You know, even if you had your parents' consent, it didn't matter anymore, because a lot of states have the laws where if you have your parents' consent, you can get married before 18. And I'm like, who in their right mind is ready for that? You know, is one thing to try and, you know, pull two teenagers apart, but it's another thing when you have a grown adult talking about they want to arrange a marriage with your teenage child. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think a lot of our laws are antiquated and need to be reviewed, evaluated, and revised or scrapped. Yeah.
There's so many outrageous laws.
Mm-hmm.
So many outrageous laws. I'm just glad that this day. I'm just glad for this day. I think I was born right in the right time. I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be in this moment, because to see all this go through, because like my family on both sides have a history of sexual assault, and for it to be brought to the light and people are actually having a conversation, because no offense to any other race, a lot of times in the black community we don't talk about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We wear longer skirts, or we keep our clothes on when that certain person around, or you don't do certain things when the boys are in the house, or you just protecting yourself. But no, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. We're definitely being our true selves, and just because I'm dressed a certain type of way, that does not give you a right to my body. Period.
Right. Absolutely. I absolutely agree.
I could be walking down the road any type of way.
Butt naked.
That does not give you the right to grab me, snatch me, and do whatever you want to do to me. I am a lady. I'm a queen. And I need you ladies to be walking like you are queens. I need these women to be walking like they are queens. Just because I'm walking down the road with some short shorts does not give you a reason to rape me. I'm sorry. Mo, I just get a little sick.
No, I would be concerned if you weren't. Then that means you're not doing this for the for the right reasons. If you're going to be doing something, be passionate about it.
Right.
I just want to protect these babies. I just want to protect these children. Yes. Because it changes you, Lord. It changes you. Once you're touched in that way, it changes you. Some people, it can go so many different ways. And there's a lot of women that are healing from this, who are searching for healing. And some of them are acting out because of this type of thing. And it's something that's happening in our community. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be healed. It needs to be helped. We need help. We need to fix each other, because if we don't, we're going to be like, oh, I died.
Oh, you died? Here, take this. We got to bring Daisha back on.
Yes.
Oh. And my phone was dead. My phone is always dead. If anybody knows me, my phone is always dead. So.
Yeah, no, I've been like that lately. Stuff been working.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I don't need a phone.
I need my phone. But I've been seeing a meme, and it's more than one, but specifically talking about little girls, and you know, they're like, little girls should not be sitting on a grown man's lap, or when men are in the house, your little girl should not be wearing shorts. And you know, somebody posted that one about the shorts, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, if you cannot control yourself, right, to not look at a child in a sexual manner, then I have to really question your character. And really, I don't need you around me. You know, if that's the type of person you are, I don't want you around me. And I think we've come into this victim shaming and victim blaming. Inside, it's a subset inside of this rape culture. You know, that, If she wasn't drinking, then it wouldn't have happened. If she wasn't wearing this, then it wouldn't have happened. But, I mean, I've seen cases where women are fully clothed, they could be Muslims and they're still attacked. They're in their full garments and they're still being attacked. So, at what point in time are you actually going to blame the suspect for their actions? We back on?
Yes, they should.
Maybe not. Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about victim shaming and victim blaming. And, you know, at what point in time as a society do we hold the suspects accountable? At what point in time are we going to say, you know what, enough is enough? It doesn't matter what you do. There is nothing that should cause you to be violated and assaulted and dehumanized.
I think the time is right now. I think, like Connie said, it takes a village. So if I have a little sister, I'm going to look after her. And if she has a little sister, it takes a village. And we're going to have to learn how to come together and look out for each other. And I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. That's just how it's going to have to go. I don't know every answer. I'm not going to act like I know every answer, but I know that it stops right now and it stops right here because I can't take it. My heart can't take listening to somebody else say me too. I can't. I get sick on my stomach every time I hear somebody else say me too. And it's just like, weirdly, it's just like I wish I was the only one. Just because I know how it feels. Because when I went through it, I died. I went numb. I didn't care. I loved my mama so much. But when I went through it, I made my mama cry for the first time. And that will always stick with me. That will always haunt me. Because you always turn into something else. I'm not going to say somebody else. You turn into something else. Whenever you go through an attack, whenever you are violated, whenever you are taken, you just turn into something else. And you don't even look in the mirror and you be like, you don't even care. You can take your own life at that point because you're so numb and you can't feel. So the time is now. It's just like Oprah said, your time is up. Any violator that is out here right now, anybody that has ever molested anybody that has ever raped anybody that has ever taken somebody's body, somebody's virginity away from them, somebody that's ever touched any female, any male, your time is up right now. And I don't care if I gotta do this by myself, but I know that I don't gotta do it by myself. We coming. Like, I'm coming full force. Like, bro, I swear I'm so gangster, but I'm not. It's so crazy. Cause that's just how can you take somebody, bro? That's just how I think about it. So it takes a village. Look out for your sister. Look out for your brother. If somebody change, if we hear a little child being like, I don't want to go down Johnny house because he just doesn't listen.
How do you feel about cyclical behavior? So somebody did it to them, now they're just passing it down.
That's why we have to break these generational curses. When I feel like once we find out who a predator is, they need to go through different programs and different, like a 12-step program type thing. And basically, it's a different program than a rehabilitation. Basically, you actually sit this person down one-on-one on a daily basis, no group settings, because everybody's story is differently. So once you find out these people are predators, you go through a different story and you peel away these layers and find out what happened with them, and you heal that. That's the only true way to heal a predator, because a lot of it is learned behavior. Because basically, how do you learn how to do anything? How do you learn how to talk?
Right.
How do you learn how to walk? How do you learn how to use the bathroom? It's learned behavior. So this predator didn't get it from somewhere else. He didn't learn it, you know what I'm saying? It didn't just fall out of the sky and was like, oh, I think I'm just going to destroy another woman's life. No, it's not like that. So I feel like a lot of the time they need to go through different 12-step, a longer thing, because a lot of the time they only get like 6 months, a minimum.
Yeah.
That's it. So
their rehab programs
is a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And now they have groups that are trying to become a part of the LGBT community of Asians.
Let me tell you something. That's a whole nother topic right there. That's a whole...
It really, not really. It's the same thing.
No, I'm saying, like, we would need another hour for that.
That's a whole same thing. But that's what it is.
That's a whole nother show.
That's what it is. So, it's just, I just need them to have a better program.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to get people who really care about this thing to teach these people these behaviors and to re-educate them on how to, go about life and carry themselves appropriately. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of them don't know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them is learned behavior.
Learned behavior. So, we got 2 minutes left in this show. But I want to thank y'all for coming on tonight.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Not only just to kick off Women's History Month, but because we're at a time right now and St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
Oh, God.
And so with all of the other debauchery going on,
I'm gonna be down there with my flyers.
And you know what? That's not a bad idea.
I swear, I'll be down there
That's not a bad idea.
Girl, listen, don't drink too many shots. Here you go.
Right. You don't, because you don't want to be blamed for somebody assaulting you. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah,
I'm at fault for somebody doing something harmful to me. That sounds crazy. Like, I'm in a car and I'm at fault because you hit me in the back. What?
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
How any of this works.
So I think this is at the right time. And I'm really proud of you ladies. I'll be there. Fully supporting everything. Give the people a rundown real quick of the event and let them know where to go. Just say everything but ticket prices.
Okay. You guys, we are having a Me Too conference. The dates are March 30th at 6 to 10 o'clock. And then we have another Me Too conference panel on March 31st from 6 to 10. It's at Sulphur Studios on, I keep forgetting this address.
2221 Bull Street.
That's it, Savannah, Georgia. Basically, I almost did the ticket prices.
Don't do it, but tell them where to go.
But you can go to Daisha Harris PayPal's account. They should give them your PayPal information.
So it's going to be Daisha Harris /me PayPal account. And if you just go to my page or DM me or DM Connie.
Yes.
And I promise you, we'll send you the link. We'll send you everything that you need to know. Because we really want you guys to come out to these events. I feel like it's going to help a lot of people.
Alrighty then.
Yes, come out and get these resources, find out the information, where to go next. Come out and meet these people and see who you need to speak to. And we look forward to seeing you guys there.
All right, ladies and Real Talk viewers and listeners. It's been real. You are listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And all that disclaimer stuff, it's not the views of the station, and it was real sensitive language, but we appreciate y'all listening. Good night.
Hello? Daisha. Yes. Okay. Girl. And we gotta do this thing all over again. We got another one with Acacia Scott. She's running for the seat. What is that seat called? 153.
Thank you for listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia.
Girl,